entity get removed? That's weird. Well, okay, so if I go to the tutorial about how to build an agent, right, it tells me to build it with LangGraph. Specifically, it tells me to build this using this pre-built agent. Now, the reason that's interesting is that the more I dug, so if you look into how ADK works, ADK is really an agent framework through and through. And what I mean by that is that the entire functionality of it is about like tools, messages, yeah, it's basically like tools, messages, and other functionality, like tools, messages, agents, etc. But if you look at LangGraph, it's really actually has nothing to do with agents. It's just a generic workflow engine that they have some versions of it that happen to be agents, but there's actually nothing about it that is particularly quote unquote agentic. And so when I'm thinking about allowing a user to build, to add their own LangGraph agent into our system, right? There needs to be an API. Basically, the API contract is two things. One, they can use our system as storage, which I have that part figured out. But part two is that they expose an A2A server with certain information that allows us to properly display and part like basically with certain information that allows our UI to display things like token usage, tool calls, stuff like that. So there's like two sections of it. And the problem is creating a generic A2A server for LangGraph is actually almost impossible. Whereas in ADK, it's really easy, and other agentic, more like specific agentic frameworks, it's pretty easy because all they do is make agents. But LangGraph doesn't really make agents, it makes anything. So it's a bit of a it's a bit more difficult. And so I'm starting with just this pre-built React agent as sort of a limitation. But because that's what they point to with basically all of their examples of how to actually do this stuff. So I just wanted to see, I wanted to gauge people's opinions about that, see if anyone had any feelings or yeah, how they're using LangGraph. Hey, Brian, welcome. Yeah, I don't know if you've been in a meeting yet. You're the one who's doing all these controller runtime
Yep,
PRs,
that would
right?
be me. Yep.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, first meeting, so I'm just here to listen in and see what's happening or yeah, on the
Yeah.
table.
Well, welcome. So as I said, there's not so there's a doc here. If you have any topics that you want to talk about, feel free to add them here. Um, it's kind of a light day today. But yeah, so basically, the question is, are you using LangGraph or LangChain today? Um, no, okay, all right. Well, no one is. That's good. That's good evidence. It's interesting. I think yeah, LangChain feels LangChain makes sense to me. LangGraph makes less sense to me. But anyway, so if you have like Dennis, you said you have colleagues that are using it. If they could, answer some of these questions, like what, sorts of agents are they building? Are they using pre-built, are they using create React agent? Things like that. If you could, it would be really interesting if you could get some of that information.
I
Uh,
can answer it quite now because the current like head of our ML team and the previous one, they was arguing about these two approaches to use. One goes with the LangChain and second one with the LangGraph. I don't know if they ended with React agents or they made some kind of custom Python thing. But I can check with them on the status today.
yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'd be really curious to know. It seems like a lot of people are sort of building, like, are building their own thing on top of LangGraph.
Yeah.
So Yeah, that'd be really good to know. And also, I'm curious what building agents with just LangChain means. If there's some like specific, API framework, etc., that they're doing that in. Because again, like uh, we're hoping to make the experience of bringing these agents to Kagent as simple as possible. And so I'm trying to figure out the set of functionality that we can provide to make that as simple as possible.
Maybe the funny part, when I deployed the Kagent and give my teams opportunity to work with KMCP and FastMCP, for some reason, they just jump on that train and said, we're gonna go with that. And like rewrite or the new features was gonna be on FastMCP.
As opposed to everything they were building before.
Yes, and I met that with a couple of other DevOps friends that works on other companies, and they say they just drop everything that they did till now and move to FastMCP.
Interesting. And you think that's because writing MCP tools with a simple agent is a lot easier than writing agents, or why do you think that is?
Because of Python ecosystem, the easy language, and just a lot of people wanted to use FastMCP on Fast API, but they actually don't have a chance. But they heard that it's a good and fast server and framework, and now they have this opportunity, and the tools just scaffold the project and jump in and get work done very, very fast.
Got it. And what were they building before?
Is some cast, I don't know how to call it, like kinda framework. I saw few people trying, and then sure that they did it with Flask, some approaches, and custom TypeScript or Node.js code that they maintain alone.
Got it. Cool. What is this line graph JS? Reject. No cookies. Yeah, this is interesting as well. I've never used this is the same thing. They have their pre-built agent. So
Yeah,
anyway.
I've used this one like the JavaScript ecosystem. So we had a project in the university. So for that, we have actually used the land graph. So it's like, yeah, like multiple agents, like pre-built agents we are actually downloading and just testing it around. Like for example, like create React agent and like this. Yeah.
Did you build any custom agents, or you always used create React agent?
No, we have like multiple models. So we didn't build any, but we used.
Got it. Do you know what? So which you said you used pre-built agents? Do you know which ones you used?
I forgot the name. Yeah, I can.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm curious what like what off-the-shelf agents people are using, and to see if we could run those in Kagent would be pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Does anyone else have anything they want to talk about?
I have two topics, but these are not related to what we're discussing. So are you okay?
That's fine. I think I'm done. Does anyone else want to? Yeah.
Cool. So I was looking into using two or more providers on the same installation, and I noticed that we went from the Helm chart. We only parse the default, and I was thinking on putting a PR to iterate on the providers that, as long as the user implements two or more, we parse those in the model config, but we just respect one as a default. But I wanted to get thoughts on if this is by design that we just want to put one model from scratch during the installation.
Okay, so let me model config.
multi model. I will call it like multi provider if you wanna.
This page just crashed. So okay, let me read. That's okay. 1 second. That page just crashed for me. Let me get it back. Okay, so the model config Helm, let's call it Helm config. So my personal response off the bat would be actually the current model config stuff in Helm, I think eventually should die. And the reason for that is I think Helm, like a project's Helm chart should be as unopinionated as possible. In fact, I think like it should just deploy the application with no like application configuration. I'll explain what I mean. So like the fact that there is a model config in the Helm chart is a way to make starting up with Kagent easier, right? So like when you deploy Kagent with Helm, you do Helm install and you have a thing and then it's immediately there, right? And that's nice. But the thing is, it's very opinionated, right? And so people are like, oh, well, I don't want secrets. I want secrets. I want config. I don't want config. I want multiple config, right? And so then your Helm chart ends up getting very complicated. And so to me, it seems like either we should have a separate Helm chart for model configs, right? So that we can have a place to have all sorts of different settings around model configs, which can be optionally used or not used by any user, right? Or and that could be a community thing, or it could be managed by you, right? It's almost like that sort of configuration is really user config, not so much Kagent config. And so to me, it seems like there's a bit of a like I don't want to add any more to the existing thing because to me it feels like the existing thing is already too much. Does that make sense?
100%. It seems that we probably on the long term, you're envisioning something like same as the tools or the KMCP, like just like little childs of the main repo. Probably just a Helm chart repo can be separated,
exactly.
Possibly.
So
okay. And I understand how all of those Helm chart changes like can be like just overlap with the controller changes and things like that that you may want to separate, right? And
if I can throw in a little bit of context there as well. I ran into that 2 days ago as well, actually looking at the GPT-5 models, and I suddenly realized, I can't install them by the Helm chart. But yeah, I think playing into that is also then multi-namespace support and the fact that model configs need to exist within the namespace for that the agents exist, and they're sort of they go hand in hand with the agents in that way. And so I'll totally support the idea of there being a separate chart that sets up the sort of the models on the underlying configuration that then gets used by the agents that then run. I mean, it's always been a bit of a weird one for me with the base set of agents that are there. Now we can turn those off, but we can't turn the default model off in that way. And so, yeah, I like, and I'll second the idea around, keep the main Helm chart as the application or the service set of services, and then keep the configuration in terms of model configs and memory and agents and all the rest of that as sort of separate from the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, and I'm realizing that we should probably create a separate model. Yeah, I like this idea of having a separate model config Helm chart, which can be deployed with Kagent or not, right? It can be deployed with Kagent or separately with your, alongside your agents and everything like that. Because it creates potentially easy way to deploy them, but also separates it from the installation as a whole.
Yeah, I'm going to use the example of the Ingress Engine X, right? They release Ingress Engine X newer versions, and the Helm chart in Kubernetes is just go on its own, hand in hand. They start implementing, this is the version of the Helm chart, and it's compatible with this release of Nginx. Like, it's kind of how it goes. I think we can take that one as an example.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a cool, I think it's a potentially cool idea. Yeah, I also want to look out for, actually, I have a follow-up topic for this. You mentioned, Brian, that, you mentioned the built-in agents. I'm wondering what you guys think about, I'll just put this, I'm wondering how you all feel about it, because part of the built-in agent UX for me, I actually don't love it. Like, when you first install Kagent, that's a lot of pods, right? Like, you install Kagent, all of a sudden you've got like 10 pods running. So I've been thinking about how this works and what we can potentially do. And I have some ideas. For example, like in a default install, maybe from the UI, right? Rather than installing everything from Helm, the UI can optionally install the charts. And the reason for that is that essentially, because if you're running in production, you're never going to use these anyway, right? Like, if you have some workflow, or you might use a couple of them, but then you're going to put them into your own workflow. You're not going to deploy them as a part of Kagent, right? It's going to be a separate thing, I think. And so it's like, in my mind, if you're using these with Kagent, it's because you're downloading Kagent, right? And you're like, I want to try this thing. I want to try these agents. You're going to the UI, right? The UI has like, you're like, oh, hey, and UI says to you like, hey, what agents do you want to try, right? And then you click one and it'll install it for you or something like that. And that way you don't have all these pods immediately, but also the startup experience is good. I'm wondering what if others have thought about this and what they think.
So if you may, with the default agents, it's very nice for demos, fast spin up, and me as DevOps team lead, and I need to show cases to R&D. It was very fast and very nice that I can show overall the system with all the feature inside, give the people from R&D to play around, and that's it. When I deployed to my production clusters, I make in a values YAML demo key, if true. So all this demo agent is commented out, and I have a clean installation when I bring my own NCPs, trusted SCPs that I will actually use. But for demo purposes and sandboxes for my SRE team, take that with the demo, play with it, learn the ecosystem, and leave it there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's almost that we're heavily Argo CD users, and the installation on the web UI from or shop point of view, it would be like there is a drift between what it's installed via the web UI and versus what Argo CD it's expecting or showing as installed. Kind of.
So let me be super clear. This would just be for demos, right? This would be because we know, or we're thinking is that these most of the agents that we ship with Kagent today are really just POCs, right? They're just for you to sort of understand the system, right? And so using the default chart, right? You can already disable all of these agents, right? And someone actually created an issue to have -- no agents from like a -- no default agents flag from the Kagent CLI, right? But the question is just like how to balance a good demo starting UX with a good production UX. And definitely 100%, like the idea that the UI would install something, you would never use that in prod. Never. You would never do that. That would literally just be a good startup, right? That would never fly. That's fine, right? Like, but we want everything to work with Argo, but we also want a good startup. Yeah, so Fabian has a good idea. Are others familiar with profiles in Istio?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
what do you guys think about that?
to have different profiles for different scenarios, like dev demo clusters, you have one values with profile that brings all up, or clean installation in higher environments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely something we could do. Yeah, and that we could do that from the CLI very, very easily. That sounds cool to me.
I think CLI is a better option than UI from my point of view, but yeah, UI you then have to have some sort of flag, node env production to disable the fact that people can then install stuff. But yeah. I would also say that, even with Helm, just having it be the default agents be opt-in rather than opt-out, with some docs that, in your getting started guide, do you want some default agents? Well, set this flag would be sufficient for my use case, at least.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think that makes sense to me. So I'm cool with that. If others like having the CLI be the center of that experience, that's great for me. I don't want to build that shit into the UI. That works. So that's thumbs up from me. Cool. Okay, so I'll let me find that issue. Hold on. Agent issues. Okay. Here, there we go. And wise. This guy's been committing a bunch. He's been very helpful.
And some of them are actually really useful. I make use of the PromQL agent, for example, so I would still like a way to install them via Helm.
The Kubernetes agent as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are actually using that's awesome too, right? Like the the other thing is just like at a high level, like Brian/Dennis, right? Like they're useful, but do you want in the long run the life cycle, the Helm life cycle of your agents to be tied to Kagent, right? It's like if you upgrade, right? So then you would probably want a separate Helm chart for them, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that it's linked to the main one right now is a bit problematic for me. That's the main problem, right. And I'd prefer it was opt-in rather than opt-out. To put it again.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So I think, yeah. Okay. Opt-in versus opt-out. So
not strongly opinionated about whether it's opt-in from the main chart or completely separate chart. I mean, these things are technical details and they're fine, but yeah.
What about this?
Yeah.
If you're installing from the CLI, it's opt-out. If you're installing from Helm, it's opt-in. I'll explain. If you're installing from Helm, you're probably a power user, right? If you're using Helm directly, Argo, whatever, like, you are purposefully, you are more purposefully interacting with the system. Most likely, if you're using the CLI, you're not going to use the CLI from CI/CD, probably. Maybe you are. We can talk about that, but most likely you're not. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh,
sorry.
No, go for it, Dennis.
CLI and faster spins is actually for like demo profiles and all that play sandboxes and thing, but Helm is for higher and Argo CD, Flux, whatever customization we uses in higher environments.
I was just going to say,
Yeah,
I mean, do you think that the differing functionality does sort of lead to an element of surprise? I personally wouldn't use the CLI, but there are products out there where you would install via CLI. And seeing as we were using Istio as an example earlier, it goes back to the profile sort of example. So yeah.
Hey, don't take my example and push it back on me. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I think this is worth thinking about. Making it opt out will definitely change. So I don't think we'll do that in 060, maybe in 06X, maybe 07X. Yeah, maybe 07X. How does that sound? I don't want to break in the middle of the release. So but I think we should get a little more feedback for sure. But I like this idea, and maybe rather than different behavior in CLI, we can have profiles from the CLI, and it's opt-in by default from Helm, or something like that. Or we just take them out, or alternatively, we take them out of the Helm chart completely, right? And so they're just never there. If you want to install them, you explicitly install them separately. That's a nuclear other option, right? Because subcharts are dangerous for their own reasons.
Look, that ties in with the model config point just before, in terms of model config is quite tied to agents in that way. It's a configuration option for agents.
I don't know. Are people already using? So we already push all of the agents to their own Helm charts. Are people aware of that already, or is that surprising?
No, I'm aware, because I've had to opt out.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you
can
can.
File that
Sorry.
says enabled faults, enabled faults, enabled faults.
Right. Sorry. Let me be clear. So, but we push them here, so you can actually you can just do Helm install on the agent itself, right? So we specifically moved all of our agents into their own published Helm charts. So even today, we could potentially just remove all of those agents from the parent Helm chart altogether as potential subcharts, and then you would just install the ones that you want. Yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think?
No strong opinion.
All right. Well, I'll put up some further issues and discussions for this. I think we're getting to a good place. Yeah, as I said, I don't want to do any of this in 06, but I think we're pretty safe still to make breaking changes between minor releases. So cool. Yeah, I like the idea rather than having a no default agents of having profiles because it's a little more generic. So I'll comment on this issue. Cool. Well, this has been an awesome discussion. I appreciate everyone's inputs. Anything else anybody wants to talk about?
Fabian asked something in the chat.
Oh, yeah, I was just wondering if when we were talking about installing through a CLI, if we just meant running kagent install.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, because I was just thinking if we do go through like a profiled approach, I'm pretty sure we could just add a selection step and then just default like the selected one to agent or whatever we decide on, just so that's simpler for users. But
Yeah, that's a cool idea too, of having like if you just do Kagent install -I or something, or like a slightly interactive version from the CLI. I think that's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, except I'm not a big fan of interactive.
No, you would opt into it, Lynn. Like you would if you wanted to, right?
Yeah,
It
so
wouldn't be.
basically for default without interaction, I don't want any agents to be installed. I if that's okay, because I think that's the most common flow people would play with this from the CLI.
I don't agree. If someone is installing like truly like, it's like installing Istio for the very first time. You're going to install in the demo, right? Like, I just think we need to be careful in assuming
But then you
how
specify
people.
your demo profile.
Okay.
Your
Yeah.
default profile is not the demo profile. So when you install Istio, it's not the demo profile unless you specifically said, I want the demo.
Okay. Yeah, that's also totally legit. Yeah. So
Okay,
we would
cool.
have the demo would have all the agents, and that wouldn't be the default, but we would say in docs and stuff, like install, if you want, yeah, okay. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, so in the quick start, if you're experimenting, then we would recommend people to do the demo profile. But if you want to do a little bit more, like if it's not your first time install Kagent, you want to do additional stuff, most likely they probably just go with the default profile.
That makes sense to me.
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right. I think that's it. Any other questions before we jump? All righty. Thanks everyone for coming, and I will talk to y'all.
Maybe
next
one
time.
last question before we go.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Drop. Thanks. Nice to meet you all. See you around.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
About the UI, maybe it can be kind of portable, or I just can take your UI and like a package rewrite it or edit for company needs, like a login page, gig log, logos, and stuff.
Interesting. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, we don't have plans to do that today. We are. Yeah, sorry, Lynn, go.
No, sorry. It's the question to add more logos for integration.
No, I think what he's saying is like.
No, like in Keycloak, when you use
he's saying that like he wants to use the UI in like an enterprise setting, in his enterprise setting.
Customizable UI for company, yeah.
And so basically, like, do we have plans to make the UI customizable in that way? And I don't think we have any plans as of right now. But we definitely like I don't know if you saw, but there's a PR going up. I'll send it to you. And so we are building out an auth framework for Kagent. And so we're sort of moving in the direction, but there's nothing specific as of right now. So basically, enterprise UI features. So yeah, but there's no specific plans, basically.
Okay. So I'll stick to my SRE ID for now.
True. Cool. Well, I think this is awesome. All right, I'll create some things for this. Yeah, Lynn, hopefully, I think probably all of these Helm things will go in with 070 because I don't want to break current releases. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah. But I agree with all the I agree with all the takes here and everything, but I also just want to be cognizant of existing use cases. So
Yep.
Awesome. I think together we will make a better product. Cool.
Yep.
Alrighty. Sounds good. Talk to y'all
Bye.
later. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.